Once in a generation, we get one of those, if we're lucky, we get one of those rare moments when science stops for a moment, turns on its ear, and gives us something really, really special.
Over 400 years ago, Galileo began a tradition of using telescopes to awaken people to the wonders of the night sky. Since then, humanity's understanding of the universe has grown at an astounding pace, and much of the discovery can be linked to the desire to explore that is born from looking through a telescope. From backyards, to sidewalks, to national parks, the outreach effort Galileo began continues to thrive today. Nowhere is this more obvious than with the growing number of star parties sprouting up around the world. These star parties, as they're called, are a celebration of the night sky and an exploration of its mysteries. It's here you can find these star chasers, honing their skills, sharing their eyepieces, and exploring new worlds.
Well, I spent 22 years in the Coast Guard, so I spent a lot of time out in the ocean, and we actually use the stars for navigation. So I've always had some bit of fascination with the stars and wanting to know more about them. Well, I was hunting for Lovejoy back in January, and it was pretty cold outside, but I got Jupiter, and I knew that Jupiter was up there, but I saw 3 of Jupiter's moons, and I got pretty excited about that. Any object that you have now in astronomy, there is a lot to look at and a lot to study.
What I'm trying to do tonight is take photographs of the sky, nebula, galaxies, anything that I really think of that's interesting to me. And it's really 2 parts. I've got a telescope and a computer. The computer drives the cameras that are on the telescope and allows me to download images as they take place off of the camera. It's a relatively long process. For one total image, I might spend somewhere between 1 and 2 hours. Each part of the sky has different things. I mean, towards the north tonight will be the Whirlpool Galaxy. Over here early in the morning will be Orion and M45, the Pleiades. So, there's plenty to see, and there's a whole lifetime plus of work to do. Especially if you remember that every night I might only get 1 image.
I've been involved with telescopes for approximately the past 20 years. The first one was a small 4-inch reflecting type telescope, and pretty much immediately knew that bigger was going to be better. What we're looking at today is what's called a Dobsonian mount. It's a reflecting telescope, which means it uses primarily mirrors to gather the light so that you're able to focus on whatever object that you want to, as opposed to a refracting telescope, which has a glass lens in the front of the tube that allows you to focus the light on back to the back of the telescope. Starting out with that first 4-inch scope is what planted the seed and caused me to spend lots more money and time working on building, tinkering, learning how things work, and ways to improve them.
The first time I went stargazing was this place called Scopeville in Parker, Kansas. I was about 10 years old. My dad is an amateur astronomer. He has been for a while, and he bought an 8-inch Meade telescope. It was a Schmidt-Cassegrain, so it's a smaller one, but it's much bigger than most people ever get to look at. When I say small, I mean compared to some of the major telescopes around here. But I remember looking into it and seeing so many stars and seeing M13. It's a really eye-opening experience, and I don't know, it kind of makes you feel more in touch with nature and reality to see the awesomeness of space. From that point on, I was hooked. When I come out just with my dad, we look through our scopes and we have a great time, but when you come to something like this, people have spent a lot of their money on telescopes because there are semi-professional astronomers here, and they bring something else to the table that you just can't get unless you go to an observatory. So that's one of the main reasons why we like coming to events like this.
And they're very willing to share what they know,
Oh,
what
absolutely.
they have with others, for sure.
Yeah, people are asking you, hey, you know, I have M13 in here, it looks great, come take a look, and you can't refuse that because there's something really thrilling about climbing up a 10-foot ladder to look into a massive, huge 30-inch wide cannon of a telescope. It's really exciting. I'm nerding out.
Fangirling over here.
It's not just the mysteries of the night sky and the massive equipment that make these events remarkable. Sometimes it's the people you meet.